Hi guys, my name is Alphie Sadsad and I'm the National Artistry Lead for Sephora Australia, and I'm joined with Heidi Hamoud, that is, I think, the #1 beauty blogger in Australia.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining me.
I'm really excited.
So today we'll be using the beautiful Huda Beauty Desert Dusk. It has 18 beautiful shades. It has 4 different textures. It has your pressed glitter, you have your metallics, you have your mattes, and they're all very buttery as long as you know how to use it. Heidi loves her wing line. I'm gonna take her back a little bit and use a lot more of that smokiness along the lash line. And of course, have you tried this one yet?
No, I haven't, but I've been eyeing it off, so I'm really excited to try it.
So it's a new Anastasia Beverly Hills highlighting powder called Sugar Glow, and it has 4 beautiful shades that is so wearable, and I'll be showing you how to use it in different ways today. Behind the scenes, I've already prepped Heidi's skin. So I've used the Sephora Collection moisturizer as well as this beautiful oil. And then what we're gonna be doing is applying this beautiful avocado mask underneath. And this is a great way to even start your eyeshadow application. This just goes underneath the eye. It's so nourishing. And this is a great sort of eyeshadow sort of shield that you can use. So anything that falls under or falls on your cheek, this will basically just help to block it. So the next thing after that is go straight to like an eyeshadow primer. So today I'm actually be using the Marc Jacobs one. And this is a key product, especially when you're using the Huda Beauty, you need something to prime it. So this is quite a sheer product. And what I'm using is just using my fingers, working it from the lash line up to where the crease is. And you can see it's not necessarily like a concealer, but it's more to prep the eyelid. And so it prevents the eyeshadow from creasing, and it prevents it from sort of grabbing the product or grabbing the pigment.
I have a quick question for you though. So you said the eye primer is a little bit more on the sheer side.
Yeah.
So because it is sheer, is it going to, I guess, affect the way the color pigment sits on my eye?
It shouldn't, because what I'm actually going to be using is using the Sephora Collection in the called Lazy Afternoon all over. So what I'm creating is different layers. My analogy is when you're doing an eyeshadow is like when you're making bread. You need to put flour down so it doesn't stick. Yeah. So this is my version of flour. So what I do then is use just a dense brush, just press it in, and it allows it to glide all over the eyelid there. The next step after that is I'm actually using the Huda Beauty. The very first color that I'll be using would be the Desert Sand. And I'm using quite a dense brush. So what we're doing is applying it onto the crease area as my transition. So always working with the lightest tone and intensifying with the darker tone at the end. But I do have a trick before we even do any darkness, is using a pencil underneath it to get the intensity straight away. So it's a waterproof gel crayon. It's basically quite a sort of a cranberry tone, and I'm just brushing it through along the lash line. It doesn't need to be neat. Then I get my sponge applicator, smudging it while it's still quite sort of movable, and then we'll go straight to amber. So amber is probably
one of my,
yes.
I had an issue with this shade in my quick palette. I did a tutorial using this palette, if any of you guys have seen it on my channel. And when I applied the shade amber, it just wasn't very opaque. It didn't really blend that well. But I wanted to ask you, what ways would you apply this product?
So there's 2 ways of doing it. The great thing about the Huda Beauty sort of eyeshadow palettes, you have different ways. So you can have one that is wearable during the day. So if you just want a wash of color, the amber is beautiful, right?
Perfect for that.
Yeah. If you want intensity, what I've done was using the gel crayon underneath it and then increasing it with using a dense brush, tapping a little bit out of it, then pressing it on top. So what you're doing is you're getting the intensity straight away, but you're getting the blending as well when you're going higher and higher. So let me just grab the very first brush that I use, and I'm blending it from outside in. Because the moment that you blend from that direction and keep on going that direction, you're dragging the eyeshadow down. And I would use a bit of the Eden, just tap a little bit off, use it more as a mid-tone color to brighten, socket, and to give that transition. Going back with my first brush, it's always about blending. I have this thing called blend, blend, blends your friend. So you need to keep on blending until you become best friends. And then to frame around the eye, I go back to my pencil, connect the top and the bottom together, and then using the amber, pressing it in on top to give that intensity straight away. Let's pump it up, right? So
yes, we love to get glam here.
Exactly right. So the next thing is
Wood.
Wood, yes. Tapping it along the lash line again. So the darkest should always be along the lash line.
Okay, Alfie.
Yes.
I love this, but now it's time to up the glam.
We will. Watch out. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is add a bit of saffron. So saffron will have that intensity, that redness, that burgundy tone. I'll be using, sort of like, again, the pencil head, connecting the darker tone up to the crease, blending it from outside in. Try not to do windscreen wiper sometimes, because when you're doing a windscreen wiper, that motion, you tend to bring it up too high.
Guilty. Guilty is charged.
So what I'm doing is blending it along the crease, and then just amping it up, so just bringing it up a lot higher. And then my rule of thumb is, whatever goes on the top always goes on the bottom, so it has harmony. So to create more intensity, I'll be using Blood Moon and of course Cosmo. But the trick is using a setting spray and as well as using a sponge applicator. You'll get less fallout, especially when you're pressing it in. So spray, just like that, lightly press. Then what we want to do is press it where we need it. And then if you want more intensity, you keep on going back. It's all about layering it until you get your desired strength. So now, why don't we use a bit of Cosmo that is a pressed glitter. Again, doing the same technique. So using your setting spray, grabbing a little bit of the product, and then maneuvering it. You can see how intense it becomes. So what I'm doing now is literally pressing it onto wherever I want this glitter. What I'm doing now, when it's already dried, I'm just blending the edge of that crease. So I'm just gonna even out Heidi right now, and
then we'll be back to do the mascara and lashes. So Alfie's just completed both of my eyes. He's actually applied the Huda Beauty Giselle lashes, but he's done it really differently. So he's applied it underneath my lashes, which I've never done before, and he's used the Huda Beauty lash glue to do so. And now he's going to show me a fun trick with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Glow Kit in Sugar Glow.
The very first thing is you only need one tool, and it's your finger. I'm choosing the gumdrop, applying it along wherever I want highlight. But it's before concealer, it's before foundation. Why I'm doing this is to give that inner glow coming from within. So I'm using the Sephora Collection High Coverage Concealer, and I've used it in the inner corner of the eye, and then just touching it up with Heidi's Skin Tone Concealer. What I'm doing now is just blending it all in. Generally apply a bit of concealer where you have problem spots like your redness. Next thing is a little bit of foundation. So I'm using the Sephora Collection in the Brightening and Hydrating foundation. So what I'm doing now is applying the foundation in the center of the nose and then brushing it through the cheek, the chin, upper lip, and a little bit on the forehead. I sometimes warm up my fingers or warm up my hands and pressing it in very gently. It warms it all up and melts it into the skin. So what I want to do now is set underneath the eye area. So I'm using the Sephora Collection in the Beauty Amplifier. What you'll find is it will add that brightness. It will set your concealer, prevents it from moving around all day. So what I've done was the contouring, a little bit of a flush on the cheek, as well as the brow. So we've already used the Sugar Glow Kit underneath her foundation to give that inner glow from within. Then I'm actually going to be using the butterscotch. It's amazing.
I want this on my face so bad.
So I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills highlighting powder brush, and I always apply it on the apple of the cheek and then on the highest points of the face. And then of course on the Cupid's bow to give that poutiness. Then we'll use a little bit of Stardust just on her décolleté. I'm using now the marshmallow on the shoulders, just like that. So now we're going to be finishing off with a little bit of lip gloss called Cappuccino in the Sephora Collection. I've chosen just a nude lip gloss. I want her eyes to stand out. The great thing about just using a bit of Cappuccino, it just enhances her lip tone. Beautiful. Do you want to have a look?
I would love to. Oh, I love it. See, I'm kind of like you. I prefer to have a standout eye and then keep the lips quite simple and nude. So this is perfect for me. I am so excited to go out tonight.
Guys, this is the finished product. Thank you so much, Heidi, for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I've had the most incredible time. I absolutely love what you've done with the Huda Beauty palette. I've had my own experience with it, but you've completely blown me out of the water. So I can't wait to go home and try it out for myself.
I love it. You
guys can find all the products that we've used today at Sephora, and we'll have all product details listed. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Please like.
Bye.
Bye.